am really happy to be here today. And ever since the November election, I sort of weaned myself off of watching news. And I started watching news again. And needless to say, I know for those of you on Zoom, there was a gasp here because the past few weeks have been really difficult for my mental health. Today's service is on Don't Let Mental Health Become a Political Slogan, the ability to cultivate our mental strength to weather the existential storm that is coming. There is so much going on with our country today. Immigration, government workers, Justice Department, and it really burdens me and causes me emotional pain. And I get filled with so much anger, angst, disgust, fear that often I do feel overwhelmed. And that's why I'm really happy to have today's service and looking at healthy ways to move forward, getting some tools. And who knows, whatever challenges we face, whether it's watching the news or not watching the news, but we all face challenges in our lives. So having tools to sort of deal with what comes up or what we're dealing with now, I think is really important. Our gathering music video was the song Everybody Hurts by REM. And I'd never seen this video before until Reverend Celia recommended it. And what a great reminder of the numerous individual challenges that are a part of all of our lives. You know, that little thing that keeps going in our head, those voices and what we're facing. And what's interesting is that it's really part of the human condition. It's one of those things that binds us. And I have to say, just very quickly, that the opinions I'm about to express are mine and don't necessarily represent the Unitarian Universalist Church. So to me, it seems our current administration is trying to erase parts of history. The enormous wealth of the United States is based on the theft of indigenous lands and the enslavement of people of African descent and the exploitation of immigrants. In order to maximize wealth, those in power sought to eliminate or minimize the number of people who could claim indigenous rights to land or even own land or get jobs they were qualified to hold. These limits are ongoing, and for our Native communities have included genocide, forced removal, forced assimilation, and the more contemporary systemic erasure of Native people through invisibility in education, media, and pop culture. Here in Laguna Beach, we are on the traditional territories of the Hashiman and Tongva tribes. We gratefully acknowledge and honor the Native peoples who lived here first, as well as Native communities who still make their homes here today. We offer them our respect and gratitude for their care and teachings about our earth. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. When we light the chalice in worship, we bring light to a world that we are called upon to serve with love and to uphold the inherent worth and dignity of every person, even in our current executive branch. If you are at home and have a candle nearby, please light yours now and join us in this unifying ritual. Reverend Celia, would you mind lighting our candle here? And then we will all read our chalice lighting words together, and there are 2 screens. Thank you. Okay. We are called forth life in our UU
principles
by
by igniting our chalice.
this
This
flame.
flame of new beginnings invites us into a sacred space to reflect where we have been and where we are going. Even knowing that this particular flame will intentionally end with our ritual extinguishing,
You're not
we fear its end.
no
For we know with brave hearts that from every ending in our lives, we are sent forth to make a new beginning. The light of the chalice is shining brightly in each of us.
Shining brightly in each of us. And there are candles at the side of the sanctuary. You're welcome to light one at any time for whatever's on your heart. And then later in the service, we also have spoken joys and sorrows. Unitarian Universalists do not have to let go of our own personal experiences, our own practices, or our own beliefs to be part of this community. As Unitarians, together we create a force more powerful than one person or one belief system. We join together on a journey that honors all our individual backgrounds and experiences. Our beliefs are diverse and they're inclusive. We recognize that each of us is on our own unique spiritual journey. We share the values of the 8 principles, and those are on the back of the order of service. Each Sunday is a collective effort of many people involved. We have the care of the building out front, the beautiful tree that's blossoming right now, flowers that have been planted. We have tea, coffee, and incredible music. So we thank everybody. Oh, and the PowerPoint people, of course, our techs, thank you. And we thank everybody for their time and effort and their generosity. And Don now will put up a slide that shows our upcoming services. Next week, we have Reverend Rika, and she will join us by Zoom. Then on the 23rd, we have Yvette McDonald. Then Dr. Ross Quinn will be here in person. Then we have our returning guest speaker, Cesar Cardona, who's actually sort of a spiritual storyteller. Then Jennifer Springsteen, who's also a chaplain, and then Reverend Casey, who spoke in person last time, but this time she'll be by Zoom. Then just a couple really quick announcements. We have Zoom at noon, which is a discussion group by Zoom. Everybody's welcome. Paul Bogdan hosts, does a wonderful job with co-host Candy. And we just talk about our lives. And then we also have the ability to help host a meal. We do this with the Tapestry congregation, and nobody has to bring a whole meal, just a component of the meal. And that's coming up. That's next Thursday. And please see Candy if you're interested in participating. And now I'd like to say we have a couple of guests. And is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? We'll start with Zoom. Anybody new on Zoom? Dara shaking her head. No, there's nobody on Zoom. Anybody here in the congregation that would like to introduce? Hi, Lynn. Okay, we have Lynn and Luke, and Luke said to his mom, "Don't you think it's time we start going to church?" And I'm saying this for the people on Zoom, Luke, so I'm repeating it. And his mom, Lynn, said, "Yeah, let's go." And Lynn has been a Unitarian off and on for over 40 years. So we welcome you. Good to see you guys. And now we're going to take a quick moment to introduce to walk around the room and just sort of do a meet and greet while Carol plays something beautiful as always.
Welcome back, Jim. Good to see you. Hello, Cindy. Hopefully Jim is there with you, Cindy. I don't know. And glad you got on, Oakley.
February is Black History Month, so I chose a centering thought by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I really liked this particular centering thought because one of the ways that I maintain a little sanity these days is by taking small actions to be of service and doing what I believe will make the world a better place instead of just staying in bed with the news on and feeling overwhelmed, which I have done at times. Sometimes I donate to a cause I believe in, whether it's for victims of war or fires. And then I also donate time once a week to sorting food for those in need. And I do that on Friday mornings. And they always need more people and it's Monday through Friday if anybody's interested in volunteering there. The other thing I did this week, which really sort of broke my heart, is I canceled Amazon Prime and Amazon because they, as you probably know, have deleted their DEI policies. That's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so it sort of broke my heart to say goodbye to them. But again, these are the positive steps that I do. Oh, see, my husband told me I'm not speaking loudly enough. But anyway, these small actions help me fight depression. And so here's the quote. If you can't fly, then run. And if you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And of course, that's how each of us feel, is forward motion. And just real quick, one of our participants in the Zoom at noon, what she does is she gets up every morning and does at least 10 to 15 minutes of exercise. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but that keeps her sanity and that keeps her going. And I think that's just little things that we can do. Now we have our wonderful and inspiring and most awesome guest minister, Reverend Celia Young.
Good morning. Welcome all to this place of love and justice, this place where we attempt to live up to humanity's highest ideals and highest hope. Do we fail? Yes, we do often. Do we try again? Yes, we do always. Because we are people looking out for each other and all others and the planet. Welcome all to this place of love and justice, to this gathering where the sacred and the holy are our being together. Let us begin our worship. The opening theme, hymn is number 146. Carol.
I don't think your microphone's on yet. I don't think your microphone's on yet. Turn up the mic. There we go. Okay.
Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether on that day thunderclouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and our vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch may be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and a promise to make a new start. Wait and see
Now we're going to take a moment to remind ourselves why we come together. We have our unison affirmation that will be on 2 screens, and we will read it together. Those on Zoom, please unmute. Okay. May we be
Be
reminded
reminded here
of
of our
our
highest
highest
aspirations
and
and
inspired
inspired to bring our gifts of love and
service
service
to
to the
of
altar
humanity.
of humanity.
May we know
May we know once again
not
that we are not isolated beings,
connected
but connected
mystery
in
and
mystery
miracle
and
to
miracle
the
to
universe,
the universe, to
community,
this community,
and to each other.
and to each other.
Now's the time in our service where we pause the recording and we share what's on our hearts, whether it's a joy that we can support. And so right now, it's just one of those nice times. Carol plays some music that always touches our hearts, and Candy will be passing the basket. So there'll be other ways to donate that'll be on the screen. So now's the time in the service where we sing to one another. So please stand as you are able. And this is just in recognition of the gratitude of the gifts that we all give to one another. And we'll sing this together. And make a circle. Now I'm very pleased to introduce our fantastic returning guest minister, Reverend Celia Young. Reverend Celia is an ordained interfaith chaplain and founder of Authentic Living Ministry. Reverend Celia is a Unitarian Universalist and Buddhist. For over 30 years, Reverend Celia has used her life's experience in her consulting and coaching work to achieve social justice in Fortune 500 corporations worldwide. Reverend Celia has coached and developed individual leaders and work teams to follow their North Stars, preserve their integrity, and become who they truly are. These leaders and employees have become courageous enough to speak their truth, stand on their highest principles, and create an inclusive organizational culture that values and nurtures its people's diversity and creativity. Looking toward the remaining part of her life, Reverend Celia has expanded her ministry and spiritual activism from the workplace into the larger society, where she helps heal the traumatized and suffering, mend the broken human spirit, and restore the basic goodness of humanity. Besides being a leadership and life coach and spiritual activist, Reverend Celia Young runs a grief group for Tapestry, a Unitarian Universalist congregation in Lake Forest, and serves as a chaplain intern at the VA hospital in Long Beach. Reverend Celia has a BA in Business Administration, MBA in Marketing, an MA in Counseling Psychology, and a Master of Divinity equivalent. And we are very fortunate that Reverend Celia is back with us today. Reverend Celia has selected a reading for us, which will be followed by a meditation, and then the sermon, Don't Let Mental Health Become a Political Slogan. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Celia.
Thank you. This morning, I want to read you a poem. It's called Just Wait for the Sun by Lisa Marks. When everything's darkness and you feel so alone, when rain doesn't stop and you can't make it home, when it feels all is lost and you just want to run, it can't rain forever. Just wait for the sun. When family is in pain, when friends can't be found, when you just want to scream, but you can't find the sound, when it's all your fault and you feel like you're done, just wait for the sun. The sunshine will come. The storm always passes. It won't last forever. The rain always stops and gives way to good weather. The brightest and warmest of the day still to come. Please wait for the sun. The sunshine will come. Please, people do need you. People who still love you can warm up your souls like sunshine above you. You're never alone, no matter what's done. Wait for the sun. Just wait for the sun. Dark clouds always pass. I promise you, hon. We're all waiting with you. Just wait for the sun. This morning, let's sit a minute for our brief meditation. Find both your feet on the floor. If you could sit fully into the chair, relax your shoulder and your jaws, lower your eyes. We're going to practice this thing called belly breathing. Take a breath through your nose. Count to 4. And hold it. And then breathe out through your mouth and count to 8. Notice your belly deflate. Let us do it 2 more times. Breathe in through your nose. Count to 4. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Breathe out slowly through your mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Breathe out through your mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. In these troubled times, just know that you still have your breath. You can find peace there. Okay, come back to the room. It's 3 a.m. Do you know where your loved ones are? Do you know how they're doing? In this increasingly volatile time, can we afford to lose track of those who are important to us? According to Gun Violence Archive, we already reported 20 mass shootings in this country. Based on the latest data collected by CDC in 2022, 13.2 million people in this country thought about committing suicide. 3.8 million made a plan. 1.6 million attempted. In 2022, 49,000 people succeeded by killing themselves. This makes 1 death every 11 minutes. The statistics are overwhelming. What is going on? What made a person think about, plan on, and end their own lives? What made a person kill others randomly? What made a person behave destructively? I am not here to debate nature or nurture kind of thing. I'm only focusing on one aspect, that is stress and our ability to cope. Stress is a natural reaction to life's specific demands and events, but ongoing stress can affect a person's health and well-being. These demands can come from work, relationship, financial pressures, loss, death, grief, etc. But anything that poses real or perceived challenge and threat to a person's well-being can cause stress. When the body becomes triggered too easily, or there are too many stressors all at once, it can undermine a person's mental and physical health and become harmful. The National Institute of Mental Health recognized two types of stress, acute and chronic. These require different level of management. NIMH also identified 3 examples of type of stressors. Routine stress such as childcare, homework, financial responsibilities, sudden and disruptive changes such as family bereavement or job loss. Or traumatic stress, which can occur during extreme trauma as a result of a severe accident, an assault, an environmental disaster, or war. The latest fire in Los Angeles and the mid-air collision involving American Airlines in DC are 2 examples. Acute stress is short-term and usually the more common form of stress, which happen when people consider pressure of events that have recently occurred and face upcoming challenges. Acute stressors are often new and tend to have a clear and immediate solution. However, repeated incidents of acute stress over an extended period can become chronic and harmful. Chronic stress happens over a long time. Ongoing poverty, a dysfunctional family, unhappy marriage are a few examples of situations that cause chronic stress. It occurs when a person can see no way to avoid their stressors and stop seeking solutions. A traumatic experience early in life, such as childhood abuse, may also contribute to the chronic stress, which will cause mental disorders such as depression and anxiety. People with chronic stress are at risk of having a final breakdown that could lead to suicide and violent actions. Under these stresses, we not only lose impulse control, but many of us seem to lack the ability to deal with emotions such as anger, burned out, fatigue, feeling insecurity, forgetfulness, irritability, restlessness, sadness, depression, PTSD. Mental health is the overall wellness of how we think and behave and manage our feelings. A mental health condition may be present when the pattern and changes in thinking, feeling, and behaving causes distress and disrupt a person's ability to do daily activity. DSM, which represent Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder, is a guide published by American Psychiatric Association that explains the signs and symbols of several hundred mental health conditions, including anxiety, depression, eating disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and schizophrenia. Health insurance company use the coding system of DSM to decide on coverage and benefits. They also use it to decide how much to pay mental health professional for the care they provide. Not every mental stress leads to mental disorder. Not every diagnosis leads to risky outcome. Our culture still has a stigma when it comes to mental health. People do not seek therapy, help, because they don't want to be labeled as crazy, or because the limitation of their insurance coverage. I believe our mental health is much more important to cultivate than what the insurance company will pay for. I'm going to share a collection of signs, like warning signs. You do not need to memorize it. You do not need to take notes, because at the end of the service, we'll give you a handout. It's a collection from very different sources, okay? In general, a person may need professional help when they have the following signs, okay? Big personality changes, eating, sleeping patterns, inability to cope with problems of daily activities, lack of connection or withdrawal from daily activities, exaggerated belief or thinking that's not based on reality, a large amount of fear and nervousness, lasting feelings of sadness, helplessness, and hopelessness, thoughts or statements about suicide and or harming others, problems with drinking, smoking, or using drugs, large mood swing, lots of anger and hostility, and maybe some violent behavior. Suicide is a complex and due to many combinations of factors. Some part of it has to do with mental illness, substance abuse, trauma, painful losses, exposure to violence, and social isolation. We need to act if we notice these signs among family members, friends, neighbors, coworkers, and others. Sometimes even just feel it for ourselves. Here are some warning signs. Talking about making plans for suicide, acting anxious, agitated, behaving recklessly, talking about being a burden to others, talking about feeling trapped in unbearable pain, increasing use of alcohol and drug, talking about feeling hopeless, having no reason to live, sleeping too much or too little, withdrawing or feeling isolated, showing rage and talking about seeking revenge, displaying extreme mood swing, stop doing self-care, get in trouble with the law, avoiding friends and family or social activities. Now, youth and children also have additional warning signs, expressing hopeless for the future, displaying severe, overwhelming emotional pain and distress, withdrawing from social connections, changing sleep patterns, anger, hostility seem out of character, recent increased agitation and irritability, changes in how they're doing in school, too much worrying and anxiety, being unusually fearful and clingy, frequent nightmares, acting hyperactive, often not following direction from the adults, frequent temper tantrum, needing great deal of comfort. All of these are signs. We cannot ignore that. They may turn into nothing or may turn into something, but we cannot ignore that. We can learn much more about these symptoms by looking into literature put out by National Institute of Mental Health and other organizations, so we can pay attention. Whenever there are a mass shooting, right-wing politicians would say that guns don't kill people, but people kill people. They claim that the solution is to improve mental health. But beyond thoughts and prayers, I haven't seen any real policy and funding changes to improve our mental health. When someone commits a mass shooting, we tend to blame the individual, but seldom focus on how, as a society, we have co-created the phenomenon. These people are not just random individuals. They are a product of our current social condition that we have all contributed to. A lone wolf decides to inflict pain on masses. Usually they have been victim of society's deteriorating conditions. When someone is in so much pain, they find no other means to ease their pain but to take a life of their own or others. It is our tragedy. When are we going to claim our collective responsibilities? In this country, we not only not have found a way to heal after the violence has happened, but we have not spent enough time to help prevent violence from happening. Based on the increasing rate of suicide and mass shooting across the country, I don't feel we have a better handle on this part of our healthcare. So what is the point of using the term mental health besides as a political slogan? There's a breakdown in terms of relationship in this modern society. Internet, social media has replaced the need-to-need high-touch communication. Reality TV has replaced reality. This is not the way to build real relationship. What we have left is our primitive response of fight, flight, or freeze, which potentially would do more harm to ourselves and others. We are social animals, no matter how introverted some of us are. In this modern society, we are so connected, yet we're so isolated when there is no communal support. Isolation can protect us from outside threat, but can also hasten our tendency to go into narrow and dark corners of our psyche. Hopeless, depressed, and isolated, some people will feel they have nothing to lose. When we feel there's no light at the end of our tunnels, we think about ending it all or take someone with us. There is no magic bullet when it comes to cultivating mental health. It requires that we surround ourselves with beloved community. If we care enough about one another, we must put them on our radar screen, often so no one has to feel alone. When we're struggling or someone we know is having thoughts of suicide, we must get help as soon as possible. Families and friends are often the first to recognize the warning signs of suicide. They can take first step toward helping the loved one finding mental health treatment. If someone they tell you they're going to kill themselves, do not leave them alone. Do not promise you'll keep their secret. Tell a trusted friends, find trusted sources, call 911 if there's immediate life-threatening situation, or you can call 988, which is a suicide crisis hotline. Somebody on the other end of the line will help. Asking someone directly, are you thinking about killing yourself, can be the best way to identify someone at risk for suicide. Suicidal thoughts and action are signs of extreme distress and an indicator that someone needs help. Talking about wanting to die by suicide is not a typical stress response. All talk of suicide should be taken seriously and require immediate attention. Random shooters are also isolated. They found no way to get attention but to carry out violence against others. We need to pay attention to signs of their loneliness too. Fear stops us from getting help to reduce mental stress. Once again, one reason is stigma. The minute when we frame the problems as mental health, we think someone or ourselves are crazy. The other reason is we don't know what to do or say, so we run away. The wall of silence from people in the closest circle is most devastating. This wall makes the person feel isolated. This makes them question if there's still any meaning left in life. If they think no one understands them or cares about them, they might conclude there are only two roads to go, either kill themselves or another. We as humans are created as communal species. It does not matter how introverted an individual is, he, she, they will need to feel they belong somewhere. Communication is the key. Before we can fix any problem, we first need to understand the problem. This requires us to be open-hearted, curious, and do a lot of inquiries without judging or getting distracted by potential solutions. Our goal is not to solve the problem. Ours is to show that we care. When we're in trouble, we must reach out and ask for help. This is not a sign of weakness, but a practical move to self-care. My late partner was a veteran whose combat experience have left a huge impact on him. Although most of his life he was highly functional, but the way he handled mental stress is by hiding in the cave of his mind or in the bottle. Verbal communication was not his strength. Being shut out by him, I could not find a way to reach him or help him. This has created such a distance between us. At the end, we could not reconcile. In this current political climate, exacerbated by events of the last 2 weeks, we'll have to work extra hard to create safe space for ourselves and our loved ones so they and we do not become statistics. By sending ICE agents out in the neighborhood to round up undocumented immigrants, pressuring 2 million federal government employees to take buyout package, freezing aid to various social programs, threatening to revoke birthright citizenship, canceling all DEI programs in the government, declaring there are only 2 genders that erase the entire population that's transgender, imposing tariff on our trading partners that would spike up cost of living, and backing out the World Health Organization and Paris Climate Agreement. The regime has managed to spread fear, chaos, and confusion around the world. No wonder many of us cannot sleep. We suffer from depression, hopelessness, anger, and anxiety, all of which hurt our mental health. Children and youth are often impacted by what's happening around them. They depend on adults for safety. When they notice the anxiety level in adults are increasing, they will feel unsafe. Teenagers are extremely sensitive when they feel unsafe and uncertain for their future. Their anxiety points to their helplessness, and they cannot count on adults around them to protect them. Teenagers resorting to violence against themselves and others are on the rise. Furthermore, the studies show that the rate of attempted suicide among trans teens went up drastically after several states passed anti-transgender laws. What are we going to do? We're not without mental strength and resources. Here are some coping strategies, including preparation, self-care, finding support system. You and a loved one can use the following coping tips. Take care of yourself and the people around you. Eat healthy, avoid alcohol and drugs. Get some exercise, like taking a walk, taking a deep breath, reaching out to family and friends. Talk to someone you trust about your feeling. Let your children know that it's okay to express their emotions. Limit news consumptions. Constant news can increase anxiety, make some people relive the event over and over. Reduce how much you watch and read. Get good sleep. If you're having trouble sleeping, avoid caffeine, electronics, or alcohol before bed. Journal them when you wake up. Get a good routine. Stick to the regular meals and sleep schedule, including fun activities. Care for the pets and connect to nature. Animals and nature can help our emotional recovery. Volunteer in shelter and spend time outdoor when it's safe. Know when to ask for help. Pay attention to signs of persistent stress, depression, anxiety, and substance abuse. Seek help when emotional stress becomes difficult to manage. Join the support group. They often is a safe space to share experience so we don't feel so alone. Nutrition, obviously, I don't have to tell you that we all know what a good eating looks like. Get involved in resistance. Fight against tyranny, but choose what you can do, but not get overwhelmed. We can all do something. The most important thing we can do is not to let ourselves and others become isolated. Surround ourselves with a loving and supportive community so we can catch the first signs of trouble in ourselves and others. Together as UUs, we must stand up and use our collective power to change our circumstances. Amen. For the closing hymn is number 168, Carol.
Please stand as you're comfortable, and we shall sing 168. One more step. One more step. We will take one more step till there is peace for us, and everyone will take one more step. One more word. We will say one more word till every word is heard by everyone. Will say one more word. One more prayer. We will say one more prayer till every prayer shared by everyone. Will say one more prayer. One more song. We will say one more song till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
Thank you, Carol. As Reverend Celia will now give us our benediction. Our chalice is now extinguished, and here's our benediction.
I know the sermon today is quite heavy. With my heart to you, may you be well, may you be safe, may you live fully in your heart, may you remember you have the mental strength to face the troubles in the world. Go now in peace.
Thank you, Reverend Celia. Now's the second time in our service where we stand, we join hands, and we sing ourselves out with our closing song, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With earth as our mother, we are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solid vow. To take each moment Have a great day.